Hi there everybody, my name is Kate and welcome to my channel, Trinergy Awakens Naturally. Let's talk about something. Let's talk about when we admire someone or when someone admires us. Let's start with the admiration of another. I want to get into this because sometimes we admire other people for attributes they don't really have. They're just really super good at their bullshit, and they're really good at making us believe that they're very, very strong. They're full of courage. They have, great strength and willpower and all this other stuff. And they may exhibit signs of discipline. However, discipline to go to the gym for 3 hours every day is not necessarily courage or really strength, except physical strength and the discipline of going and showing up. That is a strength. However, the strength that I'm talking about is the strength of character. The strength and the ability to pull oneself out of the mud, despite what people are saying, despite what people are doing, no matter how they're playing, even when they're playing dirty, even when they're absolute just felonious thieves and pillaging and plundering and monsters, even when. That's the courage I'm talking about, the strength. Those are the people that I myself admire. And I found whenever I really went through a major shakeup in my world several years ago that I was really admiring people that I had to work hard to find that admiration. And I really, can possibly be triggering, and I don't mean for it to be. It's just, I don't really admire cowardice. I don't admire chicken shits who run away, throw rocks and hide hands and do things on the sly and, try to harm other people. That's a very, very weak position, and I don't have any respect for that as a character indicator or as a behavior. I have zero respect for that because it doesn't serve. It serves just one person or one agenda, and I'm not about it. That's just not me personally. It doesn't mean, though, that I cannot respect a person's need, want, and desire to be accepted, to be loved, to be cared for, and to be whole and holy, because that's ultimately what we're all trying to do. It's just I don't have any respect for somebody else who's trying to snitch it from another or trying to bamboozle, bullshit, or manipulate or bully someone else to get what they want. That's the old paradigm, and there's no time anymore, in my humble opinion, to give credence to that. And by putting any respect on that or allowing that or giving that even the tiniest bit of foot room, people that are really, really super good, super skilled in their stuff, we can find ourselves on the upside down going, wait a minute, what just happened? I've been pinned to the ground and I've got, teeth deep in my neck and I'm on my way out here. Because when we give that kind of credence and that kind of just even the slightest bit, people that don't like it when we're not playing or we're not doing things their way or we start to resist at all, they oftentimes will, depending on how attached they are to their fear and their bullshit, they will go deep, long, hard, and strong in that direction to try to stop someone else or something else out there. You see it everywhere. Turn on the news. It's absolutely everywhere on the global scale, not just here in the good old US of A, where we're just making a big old giant display. You can learn a whole lot about human behavior and everything right down from the global scale down to what's happening right here in my hometown of me by watching the global news and the local news, etc. However, when we put admiration into someone else, we admire someone else who is actually just a bully, or they're a monster, or they're doing what we don't have the courage to do. I don't have any admiration for that either. That's just another form of bully. It's a quiet one. Victims are very real. I don't like for people to talk about, there's no such thing as victim. Okay, well, there are victims. We absolutely are victims, whether we chose to be in that situation or not. Energetically, we were aligned to be and are aligned to be wherever we are. That doesn't mean, though, that if we had been better instructed, better educated, and understood the gaslighting bullshit that we probably mighta, coulda, woulda, shoulda, whatever, we could have chosen differently. We oftentimes aren't given that choice. So there are people that are victimized. However, when victimizers take on the role of, I'm just going to keep hammering down on the victim because they're starting to wake up to, hey, I don't like this. This is really uncomfortable. This isn't cool. I'm starting to understand myself in a different way, and I'm going to a different school than to go to your heart dungeon or heart family dungeon workout session. I don't want to be in the MMA. I don't want to do, wrestling as my life. I don't like this. I don't like combat. When victimizers go down, doubling down harder on their victims, that's the kind of stuff that I'm talking about, that I have zero respect for that. And I'm going to give it zero traction, because everywhere we pull back the energy and say, absolutely not, that's not allowed, that's not New Earth, it doesn't mean I have to hate those people, and it doesn't mean that I need to do anything necessarily. Sometimes I might, if it's in direct conflict with me and is causing me a personal problem. It's very much, for me, internally driven. I know exactly when to act, and I know exactly when to leave people alone to do what they're doing, and I'm aware that it's happening. I can smell, see, taste, and touch a whole lot more than people give me credit for, and they think I'm an idiot. And they, okay, well, that serves my purposes for you to think I'm an idiot then, because I know what you're doing there, friend. However, it serves a greater good to allow them to do whatever they're doing in their hood, because the bigger picture is that as they continue to grow all of this monstrous stuff, they take out whole collectives with them. And that just serves a better purpose, that if you're not choosing better than that, I don't have anything I have to do with that. Spirit takes care of it. Karma takes care of it. Balance takes care of it. Conscience, eventually, when we wake up, whether we're alive to be doing that or not, when we finally get there, we will need to balance the books, and it's not me that has to balance somebody else's books for them. And when I need to make direct interaction or cut something off directly, then I know to do that. And any place where I'm wandering around confused, it's because I've gotten lost with that. I'm trying to respect someone that, no, that I can respect you by getting out of here and not allowing you to play this terrible game that you're going to lose regardless, because I'm out. The minute I'm out, I'm out. And it is not respecting them or me if I stay there and try to convince them otherwise, or stay in that confusion and delusion and bullshit of the gaslighting that was all of Age of Pisces, the cloak, the veil, the darkened eyes, the scales, all of it. We're not there anymore. And anywhere that anyone is being admired for their very strong behavior and their overtaking, that looks like, invasions of other countries and invasions of people's minds and wearing a whole lot of one particular color. And I'm not about it. I'm all about, the freedom to be me, working within the context of humanity. We don't have to give up our sovereignty to be admiring someone, If I admire someone so much and they tell me that I have to give up something to be a part of that clan, that cult, then I've just given up way more than I really intended to. And it doesn't always come through looking like a cult. Sometimes it looks like a family, sometimes it looks like a marriage, sometimes it looks like a job, sometimes it looks like a club we belong to, sometimes it looks like a political party, it looks like a government, it looks like anywhere and everywhere that it is that. Because I promise you that anywhere on the globe and in society, there are both sides happening in every institution, in every system, everywhere. There's nowhere on this planet where we are not operating in this energy. It's a matter that we're coming up out of it, and those that are aligning more with the newer energies are going to be experiencing that in a very different way. And as that separation continues to happen, those people that used to be real admired, and maybe they're starting to, say their own really ridiculous enough dialogue that their people are going, huh? And as people are starting to hear and smell and taste and touch and go, oh, I don't think I like that very much, then there's a lot of hostility and there's even more amped up behavior. And that's when we leave it alone and just observe it. Very little, whatever needs to be observed to get, yep, that's what I thought it was, rotting, nasty, gotta go. Or when it comes to visit, however we need to dispose of that nasty, ugly, that's clean and clear and very God-directed, right here, then fine. But the farther we stay away from it, just step in there long enough to observe it, and let that all blow up on its own, because then it's clean and it's clear, and I've got nothing I need to do except take my admiration and start admiring things that are really worth my admiration. Who do I know in my world that I can look at, or who do I know in the world that I can look at and say, wow, that person is really put together. They really, whatever fits my bill. And the minute that I start wanting to emulate them exactly, or they start telling me that I should send them money to buy their course of action for how I can be just like them, then wow, my admiration just ceased and desisted to, I need to cease and desist my admiration right there, and at least stop and connect with myself and say, day, what is it that I'm admiring, and why do I believe that I can't find my way? Am I using this as a tool to get to where I need to go, or am I laying it on this person to give me the answer that I'm just giving money and it may or may not work? You know, we all have our own ability, we all have our own team, and the more that we really support one another and cutting off the weeds, the way you starve out weeds is starve them out. The way you starve out anything is to starve it out. And if we cut off all that nasty, ugly, very, not honorable behavior, it's not admirable, then I'm not going to feed it at all. However, giving it any backlash or any negativity or any about it, that's feeding it some more, because people that like that stuff, they like war. They like the acknowledgement. They like to know that, yeah, I'm getting under that person's skin or whatever, It really doesn't matter. So the things that I might admire about somebody else, how can I find them in me? If I don't feel like I'm currently very courageous, that I'm very strong, what is that in me? What about them says something that I don't think I am, and how can I find that in me? And if I can find it through a course of study with that person, that's fantastic. However, I want to vet that very carefully so that I'm not just giving away my money, my time, my resources blindly. And that happens a lot. People are marketing themselves heavy right now with a whole bunch of bullshit that they can't carry. Just because you go to the gym for 3 hours every day, you can sell a program for fitness perhaps, but please, we got spiritualists out there saying some ridiculous things, ministers, pastors, all kinds of stuff, leaders, 1111, all over, that are saying some of the most ridiculous things, or family members, or bosses, or whomever it is, that have been in a position of power, and they're really coming into, not really wanting to accept the tower, that, okay, this is going down, well, then I'm going to just dig in harder and work harder to try to convince everyone else. And if we really pull back and can disengage from I don't admire stuff that isn't admirable, if it's not supportive of life on the planet for everyone, I personally cannot support that, and I support anybody else in the energy they're in to go do that. However, I'm not likely to join you, friend, if that's where it is. And because I don't want to look to somebody else to define me or tell me how I should, if it isn't working, if I start a program with someone and it's not working, then it isn't for me. It could be my own resistance to making some changes in my life. That is very true. However, I need to stop what I'm doing before I engage any more time, assume I'm wrong, bad, and horrible, or shame on me that I just don't get this, I'm resistant, there must be something, blah, blah, blah. There is something. However, taking the first angle of it's me and I'm just a bad dog and a horrible person, we can leave that part out, and yet that's the part that gets tapped the hardest. And then we're told by these people, these systems, these institutions, that we should look to them for a definition of who and what we are. 1, 2, 3, 4. No, thank you. We can all find our own star because we already are. So whatever you're admiring, whatever you're putting your faith into, whatever you look up to as being something that is strong, or whatever the words are, for me it's character and strength of character, because we can be weak in all kinds of areas. As long as we're willing to recognize that, that's a strength and a skill in and of itself. And if we're willing to recognize where we're weak, that is actually the greatest superpower there is, because our strength lies in knowing that I never know everything, and I never know enough as far as I'm concerned. I'm always going to want to be on the learn with this. I'm always going to want to be evolving and learning more. However, it doesn't mean that just because I don't have everything figured out already, that I don't already have a bunch figured out. I certainly can, and as long as I'm discerning and putting my trust, my admiration, my faith, whatever, into those things that really serve what I'm doing in a very wholesome and holistic way, then, I'm really guaranteeing that I can keep on evolving and not be worried or concerned about the stuff that I don't know, or have to worry about the weaknesses that I do have, because weaknesses can be transferred into strength sometimes. And before I go, I would just say that I hike a lot, and heights are a real problem for me. I don't like them, and that's a weakness for me in terms of I'd like to be able to go to the top of mountains, higher mountains. I'd love to say I could go do Pikes Peak in the 14ers here in Colorado. However, it ain't happening. It's not happening. More than likely, I'm open and receptive 1414 to that happening. However, it's not something that I'm going to pound myself with, and it's not really truly likely to happen, because that's just something that I don't look to myself and say I'm terrible because I haven't gotten over that. Some things like being afraid to go out in public, that was something I needed to work on. However, attacking it from anywhere outside of me by someone else, or from within me because of someone else or because of me, and attacking either side of that, either the height thing or just not going out in public, doesn't matter whether it can be desensitized and worked with or not. If I'm pounding down and really shaming myself and allowing anybody else to, then I won't make it out of that no matter what I do. So I'm careful. I'm very careful who I admire, what I put my faith and trust into, and how I grow my own courage and strength and my willingness to believe that somebody else shows me the way that doesn't feel right. If it doesn't feel right, that's my internal system telling me, that's not right. Go away, 1515. You have other things you need to do. To come inside and talk to us so that we can help you better. Because there's no one out here in 3D, for me anyway, and other people, however they're getting it, get your groove, man. It's just, that's not my shit. My shit is, I'll start in here first, thank you, and then I'll know, because the more I stay in touch with how I am, my home frequency, and continuing to work with the higher frequencies, then it's going to be a bump against me, or I'll brush up against something that is very clear to me that doesn't seem quite right. And it doesn't mean that people are bad, doesn't mean they don't have something to offer. It's just, I may be in a system or in a situation learning something for a finite amount of time, and then know that, okay, it's time for me to go. I've learned what I need to. And as long as I'm following the guidance from in here and just knowing that this isn't a personal attack, it's not anything, it's just me listening to me and trusting myself and growing my courage and growing my ability. It's a muscle, and it doesn't come up, instantly because I prayed. Didn't for me, anybody at all. If anybody knows how to do that, don't tell me, because I just don't believe that's real. But it didn't work for me to just believe that I was going to pray for the miracle that one day, I'd have courage or I'd have ability. And the only way that I've gotten myself further in walking higher up into elevations and dealing with some of those visual freakouts is to do them very slowly, do them very much in a guided way, that I'm listening to myself, I'm paying attention to my body, and then I'm carefully addressing all the needs that are coming up in me, and being careful about the logistics of how I'm doing that. If I were to just say, well, never mind, I'll never get over it, or go up there and say, well, I should be able, neither one of those works. I live my life living in the either or, and that's just, might as well be in Stranger Things right there, because you just went down into the upside down. So anyway, I hope that's helpful to you, and I hope that you're enjoying your day, whatever you're doing, and no matter what part of the day you're in. And remember, get within your skin, because you're divine. Oh yes, it is so fine, and admire that all the time, because it's perfect, it's beautiful, and is absolutely gorgeous and unconditionally loving, and it already loves you, and you don't have to fight with anybody out here about you. So go be beautiful, you. Take care. Talk to you again soon. Goodbye, friends.